Few things cause more stress for immigrants than seeing an unexpected message from USCIS, especially when it says your immigration interview has been canceled. For many applicants, that new USCIS notification immediately triggers fear, confusion, and honestly, the worst-case assumptions. Does this mean the case is denied? Is something wrong? Will this cause long delays? And most importantly, did I do something wrong? These questions are completely natural, especially after months or even years of waiting. In this video, we'll explain why USCIS cancels immigration interviews, what these cancellations usually mean, what they do not mean, and how applicants should respond calmly and correctly so their case stays on track. First, it's important to understand that USCIS interview cancellations are often administrative, not personal. Every year, USCIS cancels or reschedules thousands of interviews due to internal workload changes, staffing issues, file transfers, or system updates. These decisions are usually made by the agency, not because of anything specific about an applicant's case. One of the most common reasons USCIS cancels an interview is internal case review. Before an interview takes place, officers often re-examine the file. If they determine that additional review is needed, or that the case may qualify for a waiver or interview exemption, they may cancel the appointment temporarily. This does not mean the case is in trouble. In some situations, it actually means the officer is considering whether an interview is necessary at all. Another very common reason is officer availability. USCIS field officers deal with staffing shortages, sick leave, training schedules, and unexpected reassignments. When this happens, interviews are canceled in bulk, sometimes days or even hours before the appointment. Unfortunately, applicants are rarely told the internal reason. They only see the cancellation notice, which can feel alarming even though it's purely logistical. File transfers also play a role. USCIS may move a case from one field office to another to balance workload or align with jurisdictional requirements. When a file is transferred, any previously scheduled interview is often canceled automatically. A new interview may be scheduled later, sometimes at a different location. This process can take weeks or months, but it does not mean the case is stalled permanently. In recent years, USCIS has also expanded interview waiver policies in certain categories. Some family-based and employment-based green card cases may be approved without an interview if the file is strong, background checks are clear, and there are no inconsistencies. In these situations, an interview may be canceled and never rescheduled because the case moves directly toward a decision. Many applicants only realize this later when they receive an approval notice. That said, not all interview cancellations lead directly to approval, and it's important to stay realistic. Sometimes, USCIS cancels an interview because, well, they just need some extra time to complete background checks, review new evidence, or maybe resolve some system flags. These cases may be rescheduled once the internal review is complete. The waiting period, yeah, it can feel frustrating, but it really does not automatically signal a problem. What an interview cancellation usually does not mean is denial. USCIS does not deny cases silently through interview cancellations. If there is a serious issue with a case, USCIS follows formal procedures such as issuing a request for evidence, a notice of intent to deny, or a denial notice. A simple cancellation notice without explanation is not a denial and should not be treated as one. Another concern many applicants have is enforcement risk. It's important to clarify that USCIS canceling an interview does not mean enforcement action is coming. Interview cancellations are handled by the benefits granting side of the agency, not enforcement arms. So what should applicants do after receiving an interview cancellation notice? The most important thing is, do not panic and do not take unnecessary action. In most cases, USCIS will either reschedule the interview automatically or issue further instructions. Filing duplicate applications, making multiple inquiries, or submitting unnecessary documents can sometimes create confusion rather than help. Applicants should carefully read the cancellation notice and monitor their online USCIS account. Often, a rescheduled notice follows weeks later without any action required from the applicant. Keeping contact information updated is really essential, especially your mailing address and email, so, no important notices are missed. If a long period passes with no update, applicants may want to consider making a case inquiry or consulting an immigration attorney, especially if the case involves travel plans, expiring work authorization, or a complex history. Professional guidance can help figure out whether the delay is normal or if follow-up is actually appropriate. It's also important to continue maintaining lawful status where applicable. An interview cancellation does not extend or change a person's immigration status by itself. Applicants should continue following existing rules related to travel, employment authorization, and address updates while the case remains pending. Emotionally, interview cancellations can be exhausting. Many applicants prepare for weeks, arrange time off work, gather documents, and mentally brace for the appointment only to see it disappear without explanation. That frustration is valid. But it's important to remember that immigration processing is rarely linear. Delays, reschedules, and pauses are part of the system, even in strong cases. As of now, USCIS continues to emphasize efficiency, backlog reduction, and careful adjudication. Interview cancellations fit into that broader strategy. While the lack of communication can be stressful, these actions are usually about internal workflow, not applicant fault. If your interview was canceled recently, the best approach is patience paired with readiness. Keep your documents updated. Be prepared if a new interview is scheduled. And it's always best to stay informed through reliable sources rather than assuming the worst based on speculation or social media stories. For many applicants, a canceled interview ends up being just a temporary pause, not a dead end. And in some cases, it quietly leads to approval without ever stepping into an interview room again. As frustrating as an interview cancellation can feel, it's important to remember that immigration processing often moves in quiet phases that aren't visible from the outside. A canceled appointment does not erase the progress you've already made, and it does not reset your case to the beginning. In many situations, it simply reflects how USCIS manages workload and reviews files behind the scenes. So, staying patient, keeping your information current, and avoiding rush decisions will really put you in the best position when the next update arrives. For most applicants, this pause is temporary, and the process does continue forward. That's all we have for this bulletin. The U.S. Immigration Hub channel provides all necessary visa information and procedures for your U.S. immigration journey. It is important to understand the United States immigration processing steps. We cover visa application requirements, processing times, forms, fees, and more. We will continue to provide all information about U.S. visitor visas such as B1 and B2 work visas like L1A, L1B, and H1B student visas, green cards, immigrant.
Thanks for watching U.S. Immigration News Now.